That's it, he's in, set to go.
They're under starter's orders and they're off.
Away to quite a level break over 5 furlongs. It's the Emirates Arabian sprint handicap. A Flame is outpaced in the early stages. AMER is the first to go.
I think that's the same in all sports, really. If anybody or any horse is exceptional, questions are asked.
He's just wanting to do his best all the time.
عدة خيل ركبتهم بس هالحصان ما شفت أنا مثله.
But up towards the line, Lauren Laswell on his first ride of Colic Park.
He didn't know about the controversy, so that's, you know, for a good thing. For the horse has not suffered in any way from it.
He will leave a legacy which I think is going to be very hard to replace.
C'est un cheval complètement hors norme. Et ça, vous avez ça chez tous les athlètes, chez tous les animaux. Vous avez un animal qui est hors norme, qui sort comme ça un jour et qui devient un chef de race comme AMER.
But inside the final furlong, the top weight AMER has gone on now, clear by 3 lengths over Oreo, who's only playing for places in second. Seigneur Mori in third.
I first saw AMER in 1989 when I arrived in the farm in Ungarn, and he wasn't called AMER. He was a little grey horse called Latam.
Vous savez, l'histoire d'AMER, c'était un cadeau de l'Arabie Saoudite à Cher Khalifa, le père de Cher Abdullah, qui l'a donné à Cher Abdullah, et Cher Abdullah, à cette époque-là, a dit « je vais le faire courir, voir ce qui... c'est amusant de voir ce qui... »
They were bred to carry men long distances across the desert very fast. And I think they would run until they dropped. They didn't know how to give up. And I think that sums him up. I think that is what he was bred to do.
C'est que le pur sang arabe, c'est l'origine de la race pur sang de course. Donc c'est un animal qui est beaucoup plus fin, beaucoup plus prédisposé à courir que ne l'était le pur sang anglais qui a été créé de toutes pièces après, à partir de mélange entre les chevaux barbes et les chevaux français ou d'origine européenne, qui étaient plutôt des chevaux de travail, des races lourdes.
At the time there were races in Qatar for local Gulf-bred Arabians.
دخلنا سباقات هنا في النادي مع المخلوطات مع الثيربرد. حصان ما شاء الله عليه يعني عندي ولا مرة خسر. خسر مرة جايبين حصان من السعودية جاء ثاني. هي أول بداية كانت أيام الخيل المخلوطة يعني اللي هي مش مسجلة. مرة يجيبونها من سوريا ويجيبونها. هاي كان بداية الريسات هنا. العربية بدت الله يرحمه كان في عندنا مدير اسمه يوسف الميحي هو اللي بدأ يعني غرس هذه الهواية والخيل العربية يقول أحسن عشان أنتم خيل عربية على الأقل مسجلة لكن هاي الخيل يعني ما لها أي هوية ومخاليط وما لها نسب.
The following year the stud book was approved by WAHO and so only WAHO registered horses could race. So that made him redundant. He had no career then. So I used him as my hack. I used to ride him every day down to the track with the race horses that I trained. And he had a job. In 1992, they found the pedigrees of 2 horses that had been the gift horses. And Latam was one of these pedigrees. So I took it and it was translated and we discovered on the translation his name was AMER. It wasn't Latam. And it had all his pedigree on there, his facial markings, his leg markings, so we knew it was the correct horse.
The problem, because he was bred from desert lines, he was described by WAHO as OA, original Arab, and a lot of people didn't understand what on earth this meant, as indeed myself, I hadn't come across it before. So that was probably a reason why there started some controversy as to his origins.
I can tell you the accusations were he's not a purebred Arabian, but it was based on nothing, just rumour. There was nothing. The people that knew how the Arabian was bred in the desert, they understood perfectly well. But the problem was, when he was first accepted, the Waho Executive Committee would not let him use his pedigree at that time. And this is what caused a problem.
I took some horses out to Doha for His Highness, and I was there 4 or 5 days. And while I was there, I was asked if I'd like to ride out with the racehorses at Umgarn Farm, and I said I'd be delighted. And as I walked over to the barn, one of the grooms brought out this wonderful looking grey stallion that happened to be AMER, and I rode him, and by the time I went round the track once, I realised this was a horse that was going to be quite special.
The Arabian is totally different to train to a thoroughbred. In fact, the Arabian trains you. You don't train the Arabian. They tell you what they want to do, and you have to sort of make your program around them. Some people can't train them. You need patience, and they have so much ability, and they think a lot, too much sometimes. But they're a wonderful horse to train. Once you're into their head, and they know you, they will do anything for you.
Well, my first memories really were hearing that he was coming across to the UK from Qatar because he had a problem with his feet, particularly one very bad foot.
It's like an aero bar. From the outside it looks normal, but inside it's just flaking away. It's just rotting, basically.
Some of these hoof infections are very common in areas of the world which has got high humidity, where funguses grow quite readily, and it can underrun a lot of between the sensitive and the dead part of the hoof, and so it takes a long time to grow down. You have to pare it all out, clean it out, and I remember initially we pared out what we could and then treated it with methylate.
The whole of this foot here, the front of it was taken off. You could see the bone inside, and it was just a big hole. And that is to let the air in so that it can start to heal inside. And after time, the farriers then build it up with a silicone filler, which will still allow it to heal inside.
Of course, at that time we didn't ride him. We were just concentrating on sorting out the problem with his feet. But we did start to ride him later on that summer of '95, just to help his foot to recover and recuperate. He then came back to us the following year as a 12-year-old, but he was in such good shape, and he really had been doing very little for the last few years while his registration was going through with Waho and the Qatar stud book. So we were told if we wanted to try him, put him in training, see how he went, and we were delighted with him.
He hadn't had many miles on the clock, he hadn't done much. So we thought we'd just give it a little try, just for 1 year.
Getting him fit involved quite a lot of work. He hadn't run or raced for a long time, so there was quite a lot of preparation work to get him fit enough to run in the first place. By the time his race was ready to be off, I was very concerned because the ground was cut up and rough. And I think I even rang Qatar to say, should I go ahead and run him? I didn't have any idea how he would act on such soft, pretty rough ground. But they said, yes, you're here. Go.
And the starter's orders, they're off. And indeed they are going without difficulty back. They didn't go into the stalls, and the mare gets the first break, and that leads early on.
When he went to England, he was 12 years old. So we just thought maybe, he's lost some of his talent at this age.
Starting the run into the home turn now, and it's a mare leading.
He had run, I think, as a younger horse in Qatar, and I think that was in 1990. So really he was 6 years, I think, between his his 2 racing seasons.
He's led from the start, and with a furlong and a half to travel is going further and further clear of...
Soft ground suited him very well, probably more so than a lot of the other runners.
He jumped out first and he just stayed there all the way, and he just loved the soft ground.
And this AMER a long way clear.
And he made all the running, and so often as not, if you're on bad ground and you're in the front of a race, it's easier to keep going than being at the back and trying to catch the horse in front.
It's colder than Qatar, but it's a long way clear of Cairun in second place, and it looks as if he's going to win by street.
Because I think he'd had trouble with his feet in the past, the fact that the ground was giving and soft, and he just went through it like butter, and he won by 17 lengths.
But look at this, Brett Doyle, Gary Hine, George Duffield, Ray Cochrane, and it's AMER who takes it.
But of course that even stirred up even more controversy about his ability, and was he really a pure Arabian? As
we were coming back into the winner's enclosure, there was 1 or 2 boos, and somebody leading the horse behind shouted that called us a cheat.
We were questioned, and he had to have blood types done, and he was checked on the track to make sure he was the correct horse. People were very suspicious of him.
And the jockey that was on their horse just turned around and said, "There's nothing wrong with that horse, only that his legs go faster than the one I'm on."
A Flame is outpaced in the early stages, AMER is the first to go on.
If you watch him run, he's never pulling, he's so relaxed. But I think he does have a big lung capacity, and I truly believe that all top athletes have a big heart and a big lung capacity, and I think that's what AMER has.
To ride him